Ryan Reynolds met with a divorce lawyer this year, and right now, somewhere far from the cameras, Blake Lively is crying. She is not screaming or posting some sad quote online. She did something even worse. On paper, they look like the kind of couple that just works. That is the image people had in their heads for years. So how did it get to this point? It all traces back to one project. Blake starred in the movie It Ends With Us, playing opposite a director and actor named Justin Baldoni. Back in 2010, Baldoni got the rights to turn Colleen Hoover's book into a movie. In 2023, he and Blake were both cast in it. Right away, some fans were not happy with how Blake was picked for the role or how she looked and dressed for it. It might sound small, but online criticism like that never really stays small. It builds. And once cameras started rolling on set, that pressure did not go away. It just moved behind the scenes. Then came 2024, when the movie started its promotion. That is when people noticed something was off. Blake and Justin barely interacted with each other in interviews and press events. Fans online started asking questions. For weeks, nobody knew who to believe. Some people blamed Blake, saying she was trying to make Baldoni look bad on purpose. Then, the real story came out. Blake filed a legal complaint against Justin, saying he harassed her on set and then tried to damage her reputation to cover it up. Justin denied every bit of it. He said Blake made the whole thing up to protect her own image and make him the villain. He even sued the New York Times over an article they published about the situation.
Here's a brief recap on what is going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. They both starred in the film It Ends With Us, which was also produced by Justin Baldoni. During the marketing of the movie, Blake was getting a lot of backlash on how she was advertising for it as like a cutesy, feel-good, girly type of movie and not really touching on the DV aspect. And that she was taking this time to advertise for Deadpool, her new hair care line, and her non-alcoholic beverage line. On the other hand, Justin was posting messages to DV survivors, posting resources. Everyone was like, yay, Justin, that's how you do it. Then this interview came out where Blake was asked what she would do if a DV survivor came up to her and wanted just to like share their story or talk, and Blake just completely ignored the question. Then in the midst of this dogpile on Blake, this interview from 2016 gets posted, which is titled The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job. Now the internet's like, wow, Blake doesn't advocate for DV survivors, and now she's a mean girl. Then Blake started to post resources about DV and people were like, well, it's too late now.
This is the mess Ryan Reynolds has been standing beside for over a year now, and it turns out standing beside it may have cost him more than anyone realized. Now that you know the background, the rest of this story is going to make a lot more sense. So let's get into what actually tipped Ryan over the edge. Now, Ryan didn't just wake up one day and decide enough is enough. If you look back, the signs were already there, just hidden in plain sight. You just had to know where to look. And once you line up everything that happened over the last few months, it becomes pretty hard to ignore. It starts with a strange phone call. Someone called into a pop culture podcast and claimed they worked in a building in New York. They said they saw Ryan Reynolds step off the elevator on the 11th floor. That floor happens to belong to a well-known divorce lawyer.
I've got the blind that we got from someone named, and it goes like this. Hi, longtime listener, first-time caller. I was a paralegal for a law firm in Manhattan. My job required me to move heavy files using a cart from the 12th floor down to the ground floor. On Friday, August 29th, very specific, at around 3:30 p.m., I saw Ryan Reynolds and 5 to 6 of his entourage get on the freight elevator from the, all caps, 11th floor. And then ride it down to the parking garage. They kind of tried to surround him so I wouldn't see. By the way, the 11th floor contains an office of a lawyer who calls herself, Dawn, quote, the best divorce lawyer in New York.
Now think about that for a second. Why would Ryan Reynolds be visiting a divorce lawyer if everything at home was fine? It gets messier. People online have been talking for a while about Blake's attitude in interviews. Some say she comes off as difficult to work with. Others have pointed out that even other celebrities seem to keep their distance from her at events.
For a snob like that, this has to just crush her. Don't you think this is crushing her, killing her not to be there?
The social event of the year, 100%.
And that's gonna make her bitchier.
Right. Oh,
impossible.
How could she get bitchier?
Yeah, she will get bitchier because like there are a couple ways that could go. She could go, oh, I really need to take a look at myself. No, that'll never happen.
Never.
Never. But
meanwhile, Ryan's walking around the house just muttering to himself. That's Ryan Reynolds, I think.
Now picture being married to that every single day, while also dealing with a public lawsuit. That kind of pressure does not just disappear overnight. Then there is February 11th. This was the day of Blake's settlement conference with Justin Baldoni. A moment like that, you would expect your husband to be right there next to you. Ryan wasn't there.
Looks like these two are getting a divorce. Who could have seen that coming? Yesterday, she had her settlement hearing with Justin Baldoni, but something was conveniently missing. As Justin Baldoni walked hand in hand with his partner, this one walked in and out completely alone. The man who spearheaded this whole thing and bullied everyone in the process was oddly absent. You would think he would be there leading the charge, but instead, he left her to deal with it alone, embarrassed and humiliated. And this is from Crazy Days and Crazy Nights, and it reads, "The north of the border actor made it pretty clear how his marriage stands to the A-list minor actress. He didn't even bother to pretend to show her any support today. He just wants to protect the toxic remnants of his brand. He's leaving her to clean up the mess that he made because his career is just way too important. In his eyes, apparently, hers doesn't even matter. You would think if he thought Justin was that terrible, he would want to be there, if nothing else, to protect his wife. They've got 4 kids together and they all sleep in the same bed all the time. But I guess this is the price you pay when your ego gets this big and you decide it's appropriate to go steal other people's films and ruin the careers of everyone around you."
Maybe he had a work conflict. Maybe he trusted the lawyers to handle it. Or maybe, just maybe, he already knew how it was going to go and didn't feel the need to be there. And then there is the ring. A few weeks earlier, Blake appeared on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Cameras zoomed in, and fans noticed something missing. Her wedding ring was not on her finger. If you are happily married, why would you leave your wedding ring at home before going on national television? That is not something people usually forget by accident. On its own, one missing ring means nothing. Maybe it was at the jeweler. Maybe she just forgot it in a rush. But when you stack it next to everything else, the elevator, the empty seat at the settlement, the whispers about her attitude, it stops looking like a coincidence. That is the thing about a hidden divorce. It is never just one big reveal. It is a bunch of small moments that only make sense once you put them side by side. And once you start noticing those small moments, you cannot really unsee them. Every public appearance after that starts to look a little different. So if you are wondering when this whole thing really started falling apart, you have to go back to the "it ends with us" drama. It wasn't just a quiet disagreement behind the scenes. This played out in public for months, with headlines dropping every single week, fans picking sides, interviews getting picked apart frame by frame.
Here's a brief recap on what is going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. They both starred in the film It Ends With Us, which was also produced by Justin Baldoni. During the marketing of the movie, Blake was getting a lot of backlash on how she was advertising for it as like a cutesy, feel-good, girly type of movie and not really touching on the DV aspect. And that she was taking this time to advertise for Deadpool, her new hair care line, and her non-alcoholic beverage line. On the other hand, Justin was posting messages to DV survivors, posting resources. Everyone was like, "Yay, Justin, that's how you do it." Then this interview came out where Blake was asked what she would do if a DV survivor came up to her and wanted just to like share their story or talk, and Blake just completely ignored the question. Then in the midst of this dogpile on Blake, this interview from 2016 gets posted, which is titled "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job." Now the internet's like, wow, Blake doesn't advocate for DV survivors, and now she's a mean girl. Then Blake started to post resources about DV, and people were like, well, it's too late now.
And through all of it, Ryan stood right beside Blake. He defended her online. He showed up for her at events. He never once spoke badly about her in public. But here's the thing about standing beside someone through a storm like that. It does not just test the relationship between Blake and Justin. It tests the relationship between Blake and Ryan, too. This is not the moment the divorce lawyer meeting happened. This is not the moment the wedding ring went missing. But this is the moment the cracks actually started forming. Think about what Ryan actually had to do during that whole mess. Every single day, he had to decide how much to say, how much to defend, and how much to just stay quiet and let his wife handle it herself. That kind of decision-making, over and over, for more than a year, wears a person down. It is exhausting to keep showing up in public for someone while wondering what is actually going on behind closed doors. So when people ask why Ryan suddenly seems done, the answer is simple. It was never sudden. It just built up quietly until it finally broke. Now let's talk about what is actually at stake here, because this is not some quiet little breakup. This is 14 years of marriage. They have 4 kids together, James, Inez, Betty, and Olin. If this divorce becomes real and public, custody is going to be the hardest part of all of this. Think about it. Both of them have demanding filming schedules that take them all over the world. Figuring out a fair custody and parenting time schedule with that kind of lifestyle is not simple. Then there is everything else they built together. Multiple homes that would need to be divided or bought out by one side. Shared business deals and brand partnerships that would need new agreements or would have to end completely to avoid a legal mess. This is not just two people falling out of love. This is an entire life, built over 14 years, that would need to be picked apart piece by piece, all while the entire world is watching and commenting on every detail. And it does not stop at money and property. Their public image is tied together too. Fans have followed them as a pair for over a decade, through movies, interviews, and even joint charity work. A divorce does not just split a household, it splits a brand that took years to build. So when people say this could get messy, they are not exaggerating. Every part of their life, from their kids to their careers, is tangled together in a way that makes a clean break almost impossible. Now, Ryan has pulled back. Blake has not said a single word about any of this. No public statement or any confirmation, just silence, a missing wedding ring, and a lawyer's office on the 11th floor. The only real question left is who is going to break that silence first and how they are going to do it. A press release? A social media post? Or will we all just find out the same way we found out about everything else, through a leak nobody saw coming? Some people close to the situation think Ryan is waiting things out until the Baldoni lawsuit wraps up, so he does not add more fuel to an already messy legal situation. Others think the timing does not matter to him anymore, and he is just done playing along. Either way, one thing is clear. The Ryan Reynolds who used to jump in and defend Blake at every turn is not showing up the same way anymore. And when someone who used to fight for you stops fighting, that usually says more than any statement ever could.